Hello, my name is Barry Sulkin. I'll be doing the music tonight. So we're getting ready to start the live stream. Sit back and enjoy beautiful views of Tennessee.
Hello, everyone. We are so glad you could join us tonight for the 2022 Nature Votes Get Together for Tennessee Conservation Voters. We wish we could be with you in person, but we look forward to seeing you next year. Nature is very strong and powerful, but it does not have a voice. That's why TCV exists, to educate our legislators, speaking up to power to protect clean water, clean air, and the wilderness. We are so glad that you join us in this critical work. We hope you'll also enjoy tonight, the music and presentations, our silent auction, and maybe even use the chat to talk to people. You'll see familiar faces tonight, including Stuart Clifton, our wonderful lobbyist and advocate, Daniel Boone, our auctioneer, Darlene Panivini, our wonderful past president, and many others. You'll also meet Everett Davis and Patrick Garner, two new board members and our host tonight. We also want to thank our wonderful sponsors for their donations and help throughout the year. Please sit back and enjoy being with people who care about the environment as much as you do. Thank you again for being a part of TCV. On with the show.
I'm Patrick Garner, a TCV board member.
And I am Everett Davis, and I'm also a TCV board member.
We're so glad that you could join us tonight. One of our goals with tonight's live stream is to raise money to help us continue our mission at TCV.
Donating is easy. Simply go to tnconservationvoters.org and click donate. You can find a link to it in the chat. You can also donate there all year round by giving monthly donations.
We also want to give a big shout out and a thank you to our sponsors tonight, which is where most of our funding comes from.
Tennessee Conservation Voters is a coalition of state conservation groups and individuals dedicated to protecting the environment of Tennessee. TCV has three missions: awareness, advocacy, and accountability. We will highlight our work by focusing on these missions tonight.
One other way you can help TCV is by taking part in our silent auctions this evening. For more on that, let's send it over to former board member Daniel Boone, who's also a member of another group we work closely with, Tennessee Scenic River Association.
All right, y'all, I'm back. So get your wallet out, get your credit card out, get ready, get your heart right, and get ready to spend a little money. This is a fundraiser. You're not shopping at Walmart, okay? You know the routine. So don't be afraid to spend $125 on a $100 gift card if it shows up while you're searching out the bid site. So, all right, they gave me 20 seconds to do this auction thing. I'm going to take about 4 minutes, hopefully, and we'll be done with this. But before I start, let me just tell you how this works. Do not tune out the broadcast to bid. I want you to wait until 7 o'clock tonight to go to the website, and it will stay open until 8 o'clock Central Time tonight, and then it closes. So it's sort of like the silent auction that we've had live before. You got a deadline, and it's going to be 8 o'clock tonight Central Time, but don't start on that website until we finish here tonight, and you can which will be at 7 o'clock. So where do we start? All right, let's look at a couple of items that involve overnight stays. Many of you know longtime donors Cindy Kirshner and Mark Mance. They once again have donated three nights at Airy. That's their house in Swanee, Tennessee. It's about 4 miles outside of Swanee. Spectacular views. It's 3 nights. It's $1,050 value. So it's 3 nights. It's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. And the dates are just mutually agreed upon by the owners. There's a 6-person maximum with no pets. And Cindy and Mark, we really appreciate your hanging in there with us and making this donation once again this year. Now we have a new property that's being offered up by Mr. Jonathan Oppenheimer. And Jonathan, we appreciate your dedication to our cause and our organization. And the property is called, it's in Big East Fork Valley. I'll get that out in a minute. Big East Fork Valley. And it is the Fork Inn, the Lake Trail House. And that's important because they've got a number of properties within this complex. When you go to the website, this is the one that'll pop up. the Lake Trail House, and it is ridiculously awesome. They're willing to accommodate 9 people. There are no pets, and it's for 3 nights, excluding any holidays. And the value of that is $1,490, and you've got to see this to believe it. Let me give you some idea approximately where it is. It's in Williamson County. It's off of Highway 96 near Fernvale, and that's about halfway between maybe Natchez Trace and Highway 100. So you don't have to drive 8 hours unless you're watching from Johnson City tonight to get to this place. It's really close. The amenities are spectacular. They've got a couple of lakes there. You can catch and release fish. They have canoes and kayaks, or you can bring your own. There are hiking trails, biking trails, just any number of things to keep you busy. And it is a beautiful, beautiful area. So get online at what time? 7 o'clock, and check this place out, because I think you're going to want to get familiar with it and participate in that way with this property. And once again, Jonathan, we thank you for your contribution. We've got, last time I looked, about 2 o'clock this afternoon, we probably had 40 some odd items up for auction. We've got gift cards, I've mentioned that, spas, books. I don't know what this is, but I'm going to try to pronounce it. Vanadinite from Morocco. Now, the picture looks like a rock. I'm sure it's some kind of fancy mineral. You won't find it here locally in Mill Creek, but you need to bid on this. Let's see. What else have we got here? Oh, yeah, the jewelry. We got some fabulous jewelry. I would like to recognize a couple of pieces of artwork that we've got, photography and artwork. And I want to mention the picture on the website really doesn't do it justice. This is a donation by our longtime friend, Phil Ponder. And it is Tennessee Trees 2. It is 20 by 33 framed. And it's a limited edition. It's number 10 out of 150. So the lower the number is on a limited edition, the more valuable they are. So get your heart right and get your money right. Now we have another longtime supporter, Robin Conover, and she has taken a photograph on Greenbrier Road in the Smokies. And if you've never been to that part, that is the true quiet side of the Smokies. It's off the main highway 321 between Gatlinburg and Cosby. It is a beautiful area, and this is a fall photograph. Robin is always in the right place at the right time. Does a lot of photography in the Smokies and a significant amount of photography as well at Radnor Lake. And Robin, we appreciate this donation from you, and it's on the website. It has about a $350 value on it. And I want to thank Chris for helping me with that. I'm driving him crazy because I'm in front of a still camera and I can't stand still. And Chris he doesn't always know where I'm going to go, and I'm not necessarily always going to go in the right place. But anyway, we've got some exciting items. I want to thank all our auction item donors. And just remember that when you're buying this artwork, and there's some other art on the site as well, good art will not match your couch. And I'll transfer that thought to the jewelry ladies. This quality jewelry will not match your makeup or your hairdo. So you do like you do your couch, you decorate around it. So when you put the jewelry on, you decorate around it. Okay, that's kind of how that works. But we've got some great jewelry. As I close tonight, I got one other item, and Chris is going to help me with this. And James Woody Woodall, a longtime TSRA member, has done some stainless steel art for us that we've auctioned off in the past. We've done blue herons. We've done other things that he has made. This is Nemo. You see Nemo's lost a little weight. You have the right to rename it if you don't like Nemo. I've got grandkids, so to me, it's Nemo. All right. It works outside by your garden pond. If you don't have a garden pond, you put this in place. You build your garden pond around Nemo, or whatever you choose to call the fish. Really, really cool. Stainless steel. It works inside as well as outside. And the thing that Woody doesn't realize about this is that it's also a musical instrument. He had no idea I could do this. I am quite musically inclined. This is how I call the grandkids to supper, and they live next door to me, and they're never very far away. Anyway, Woody, we thank you for your contribution to our auction, and really appreciate all y'all who have made donations. And I'm going to set this down, and I'm about finished. But remember, folks, this again, I say this is a fundraiser, so don't be afraid. I know a lot of you were whining yesterday because you lost $20,000 on the stock market. You made it back today, so you've got money. So let's dig deep, reach out, and bid, starting at 7 o'clock and ending at 8 Central Time tonight. So let's get busy at 7 o'clock and get on the website. Anyway, I'll turn it back over to Patrick. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. One of our biggest missions at TCV is awareness.
We do this to help voters and lawmakers to understand our values. Sandra Goss is a member of Tennessee Citizens for Wilderness Planning. The group works to ensure we have clean air and water, as well as habitats for all creatures.
I'm Sandra Goss. I'm the Executive Director of Tennessee Citizens for Wilderness Planning. We're based in Oak Ridge. We work on issues that have to do with clean air, pure water, and adequate habitat for all creatures. We do that through the 3 areas of government, including legislative, both state and federal, and administrative or executive, working with the officials who administer programs of importance to the environmental quality and the conservation of our special places, as well as the judicial system, where occasionally a little bit of a lawsuit might be necessary to make people see right about a particular issue. We are a member of Tennessee Conservation Voters. We've been a member for many, many years. And we value that organization and our membership in TCV so much. This is a main way to connect ourselves with allies, with fellow travelers on the environment conservation path, and it helps us stay up to date with the current legislative situation. Our state legislature is so dynamic that the situation changes from week to week, and that updated information from Tennessee Conservation Voters, both available in a call and available in email, is critical to us keeping our members informed like they want to be. Utilize both the email alerts from TCV, and I love the Thursday meetings. That weekly update with fellow thinkers, that's heartening. Sometimes one can feel a little alone in the world of conservation and environment protection. And it's very heartening to be on the phone with our sister organizations talking about problems that are arising in various legislative issues and strategizing together about what steps we can take to make progress toward our goals. I've found, and I believe most everybody has, with the current political climate, working with other groups, amplifying our voices to reach out to the legislators and the people that elect them, that is critical. None of us has enough manpower or bandwidth to do everything. And together with our united memberships, we can be a pretty powerful voice, recruiting committee witnesses, topical experts, subject matter experts on water quality, and a host of other issues who can go down to Nashville, who do go down to Nashville, and talk to our legislators with a very educated voice. I think that's extremely useful, and it all starts with our TCV Thursday night phone calls.
Thank you, Sandra. We are so fortunate to live in a state with such beautiful landscapes.
As you may know, TCV educates and advocates our leaders about environmental issues. Stuart Clifton is our lobbyist at the Tennessee General Assembly. He's there every day lawmakers are in session.
He also helps teach people how to advocate for environmental bills within the legislature. Let's hear from Stuart about why it is important to develop relationships with legislators and how to do it.
Thank you, Patrick and Everett. My big starting point is be part of a group that you can identify with to get good information about what kind of issues are coming up and when they're coming up and who it matters to contact. That's the biggest thing I can kind of say. It doesn't have to be TCV because, as I say, we have a lot of other groups part of us. The other reason for that is you're only likely to have any serious influence with 2 legislators. We have 132 in the Tennessee General Assembly, and only 2 generally care what you think or whether you're alive. Not exactly, but those are the ones you can vote for or against. So that's another reason to be a colleague with others working together on common bills and common interests, because you have people who do know those others if you're working with them. That's not to dissuade you from contacting legislators before you kind of are part of a group, but just some advice. So how do you develop a relationship with a legislator? First, be part of a group that has a relationship. Second, contact them. It doesn't hurt. It's easy. Their addresses are all on the website. You probably know who's representing you. Those are the people who care about what you think because you hire them and fire them. It's not quite that simple because, some people want higher office. Some people aren't sure whether you're in their district, but most of them will ask their staffer will ask where you're from, what your address is. That's to see whether you're a constituent. So contact your constituent and develop a relationship. Contact your own representative as a constituent. Develop the relationship with them. You got to start somewhere, so you can't say I'm not going to contact them until I have a relationship, because part of it is making the contact. And identify with the group. If you are part of a group that has a position on an environmental issue, and by environmental that's shorthand is for conservation, sustainability, environment, all of that, they all kind of feed into each other. Develop the relationship with the legislator and with the staffer. The legislator staff person is the last person they see before they go vote. They're the person who can get you in or not to talk with them by phone or in person. And they are very important. They're sort of their personal and professional managers while they're in Nashville, and most of them aren't in Nashville, but a few weeks out of the year. So it is always a good idea to credit and understand the importance of a staff person and go from there. So those are a few things about relationships with legislators. And in politics and in legislative lobbying, there are no permanent friends and there are no permanent enemies. And that's something that is hard for people to grasp because we're so into the issue we care about. But there will be another issue, and how you handle your interaction with the legislator will set you up for failure or success the next time you contact them. I also want to emphasize how how this is not about sending them everything you know. It's not about writing them a professional article on an issue or sending them a lot of information. This is about making 2 or 3 points about the particular bill or issue and then shutting up. They don't have a long attention span. They don't have a lot of time to give you, whether it's writing it or reading it, or talking with you on the phone. It's good as a phone call, of course, or a Zoom, but they're important, and that's the best most of you will be able to do on most issues. So they do read their emails. They do check to see who signed it, who it's from, and they'd like to know you're a constituent, particularly if you are. I wouldn't lie about it, but tell them where you live and that you're a constituent and are interested in talking with them and expressing your views and whatnot.
Our second mission here at TCV is advocacy. Stuart works with the General Assembly to protect and preserve our environment for everyone.
An important part of that is to have a lobbyist who knows what's happening at the State House and which bills could become law. We sent it back to Stuart, who will talk about this 2022 session and what we can look forward to in the next months.
The deadline is passed. And some of the bills are very surprising and very good. I'll just go through a few that occur to me. There is a really bad bill that would increase the pollution of our lakes and other bodies of water by making it easier for floating cabins, of which there are lots of them on some of these lakes, almost like a subdivision. This bill would allow them to discharge gray water into the lakes. I don't really want to go into the details of what gray water is, but you don't really want to know, believe me. And it's a bill, it's a serious bill. We're obviously opposing it. We're not the only people who are, but that's an example. On the positive side, we're supporting a major multi-year effort called Clean Tennessee with a lot of other groups from a lot we maybe don't even agree with on some other environmental issues. That would, if it's effective and if it's implemented, will dramatically clean up our rivers, our lakes, as well as our land generally by innovatively addressing our how we create waste and what our dumping problems are in the state. And it will have implications for air and water to improve flood resilience and community preparedness with excellent sponsors who have been known to pass their bills rather easily. So those are a few. There's some others that aren't so good. We'll be opposing bills that come in every year to weaken open records and open meetings. But there's some good bills that are there that will open up more government. Will open up what people can, how easily people can understand what their city councils and their electric power boards are doing and all of that. And we think we're going to win those bills. We're in coalition with many other groups, including League of Women Voters and a member group at TCV. And it's all still up in the air because it's early. We're supporting a bill, an important bill, to require public contracts to use energy use objectives for any new building. Some of this is not necessarily headline matters, but these are things that we stand a chance to winning on. I'm not going into the ones that are terrible, except for the couple I mentioned, but you get the idea. This is serious stuff. It's very specific. It's things you need to know. Will go forward or not based on how many people talk with their legislators for the most part. So those are some of when the legislature's in session. We don't always have super specific calls to action for that week, but we update people on where the bills are that they care about and that they need to know about. Another thing that has had a result, we have lots of folks who follow us on Facebook. We're regularly posting about bills, about activities, and I'm proud of that, proud of what the board members and volunteers have been able to do with that. I'm also proud that we've made an intentional effort for our activities to understand and consider environmental racism and inclusion issues that have traditionally been a problem for the environmental community, and we're trying to address that. We've also developed several legislators in both parties into key supporters and allies. Over the years, it's not easy. They have many things to care about, and they know we don't have as much money as certain groups, but they are supporters, and reliable supporters, and it's not just one party. Core thing is that TCV has provided the resources for me as the only on-the-Hill environmental advocate who's physically there each week they're in session to be there. I'm not the only effective advocate, and I work in tandem with a lot of people who can't be there, but I can, and I am there in person when important bills are being discussed, when hallway conversations are being had.
Okay. Any conclusion remarks?
Yes, I just want to say that I'm very grateful. TCV's board is very grateful for the support that we've gotten from citizens, from contributors, from donors, from other groups that work with us officially and unofficially. It has been a strong effort for many years. It's been a frustrating effort at times because decision makers don't always hold our attitudes and understanding or have the knowledge base that we do on these issues. But it's been successful because of you, successful because of the volunteers, the board, and the contributors who make it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. One of the best ways to keep up with TCV is to follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please also share anything we post so we can spread the word out even further.
You may be wondering if there's anything you can do to help preserve our planet. One way to do that is to help reduce your use of plastics.
Here's Jeff Berry. He's with the Tennessee Environmental Council, who's a member group we work with closely throughout the year. He's going to talk about simple steps you can take to help the environment.
And I have some great tips for everybody on some things you can do to reduce plastic use in your day-to-day life. These are daily decisions. So we're going to go back to the 4 R's. Refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, repurpose. That's the 5th R. But the first thing to do to reduce your reliance on plastic, and you know microplastics are a global problem, is to refuse. So say no to the carry out plastic forks and spoons. I just have this, I have some props to share, but this is actually compostable, but most of them are not. So refuse the plastics when you get the carry out. The silicone versions that can last, these can be used over and over and over again. Thousands of times. They're washable. They have Ziplocs on the top. Reduce and refuse. And so, and of course, we all know to use the reusable cotton or other material grocery bags when you're shopping. You can carry more in a cloth bag than you can in the cheap bags at the grocery store anyway. But if you end up with some plastic bags in your life, they fill up somehow always, use them as kitchen garbage liners, or take them back and use them to put the produce in the next time you're at the grocery store. These can be reused many times over, and then when you're done with it finally, make sure you take it to Kroger or Walmart or the grocery store and recycle them in their drop off there. You can repurpose some of the stuff. This is one thing I do, is I use these tubs, the small tubs. There are purposes that when we reuse these things, we are reducing our reliance on plastics and keeping them out of the environment. I do want to take a moment to thank TCV for its work, because it helps us at Tennessee Environmental Council. And we're proud to help support TCV with our membership and our sponsorship of the event, the Nature Votes, and also the work that TCV does by monitoring legislation in our state General Assembly every session is vital to our work, because then we can follow what's going on without having to spend the time in the halls of our state legislature. So thank you, TCV, for the role you play. It allows us to get good information out on a timely basis to our audience so that people can take action when action needs to be taken, either in support of the good bills or opposing the bad ones. So thank you, TCV.
Our third mission is accountability. This includes educating legislators on our priorities and positions that matter to Tennessee environment and the Tennesseans.
We can celebrate our legislative champions, but we need people like you to urge your elected officials to better support strong environmental protections.
Holding elected leaders accountable is important to our mission, but so is educating all of us on effective ways of communicating with those leaders. Let's hear from Debbie Gould, Legislative Chair of the League of Women Voters, which is a member group we also work closely with.
One of the things that our organization does is that we follow and advocate for bills that matter to us as a state in the state legislature. And over time, we've realized that one of the ways that we hold legislators accountable is, frankly, just communicating with our own legislators. Constituents are the most important people in the lives of a state legislator because they're the ones who got them elected. And if there is an outpouring of concern either for a bill or against a bill, of course it sways a legislator because they want to listen to their constituents. So sometimes what we find is that when we talk to a legislator, they say, you know, I'm balancing this bill against another bill, and it's more complicated than you think. But if I explain it to you, you'll see why this is the best possible outcome at this point. And that's fine. That's part of the communication process that we want constituents to have with legislators. What we have found is that it's a very short legislative session, very short, and it's very intense. And these are part-time legislators. And what we have found is that they do not have time for the long 10-page white paper on an issue. They don't have time to read scientific research. What they do have time for is the kind of short message that you can imagine someone reading on their cell phone, because that's how much time they have before they vote on something. And so really all you need to do as a constituent is tell a legislator why you support or oppose a bill and give maybe a couple of sentences of reasons why. And then offer to provide information. Again, remembering that legislators normally have one staff person who answers the phone for them, who schedules their meetings, who does their background research. Again, remember, this is a part-time legislative body, which means that there are months during the year when they are not in session. And that's a wonderful time to give people the background information you wish they had. You wish they knew more about, for example, why stormwater runoff matters in your community. Why would they know if you haven't told them? If you give them the data during the off season, they'll have more time to absorb it rather than when they're rushing off to a meeting. As an organization, we're part of TCV, the League of Women Voters, and it's enormously helpful, again, because sometimes the bills that matter most and have the greatest impact look on their surface to be fairly arcane. It's not something that cries out as a headline. It's something that it looks very administrative, and we really appreciate the expertise of TCV to be able to help us pinpoint which ones will have the greatest impact.
Each year, TCV honors people and organizations who actively serve to protect Tennessee's environment by raising awareness, advocating for stronger protections, and raising accountability.
This year, we're pleased to present 3 Environmental Service Awards. Here's past board member Mark Green to announce them.
Thanks, Patrick and Everett. This year, we're giving the TCV Service Award for an organization to Patagonia and its Nashville store. Patagonia's mission is to do whatever they can to protect our wonderful planet. They provide clothes, training, and workshops to encourage people to enjoy and to be with the environment. Patagonia partners with environmental groups across Tennessee. For instance, TCV was the recipient of a grant from Patagonia to work on diversity and inclusion. We began our diversity work through our Community Outreach Committee. Over the past year, our lobbyist, Stuart, did legislative training with store employees here in Nashville. We're pleased to honor Patagonia for its service to the Tennessee environment.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nick Malchuk. I am a member of the Patagonia Nashville team, and we are very honored to be recognized this year with this award and to collaborate with TCV. We think TCV's work is crucial to Tennessee and the Nashville community particularly, but statewide is a great asset to our state and to making our decisions in the legislature more informed and more involved with the community. So I will say this, that our store has been in existence for almost 3 years at this point, and the company at large much longer. So it's a real honor to be present in the state and have a brick and mortar store able to serve the community. That's one of the things that one of our founders, Melinda Chenard, really prides herself on and takes great pride in, is that we are community hubs. And we have felt that to be very much the case since landing down here in 2019. Our ties with TCV have become strengthened, particularly in the last year, formally through a grant that an application that TCV submitted and we reviewed and supported wholeheartedly. And it's been a treat to get to know them better and see them grow and really attack the environmental core issues that are coming across the state legislature. They're also doing an incredible job making strides in opening up our environmental footprint in terms of diversity, inclusion, and equity, which has become a very important part of our work here in the store and as a company. One shift that we as a store have made in the last year that I think is worth noting is our community grants program, which is funded from a percentage of our sales here in the store, is shifting from just a review process in the grant or by the retail employees into a community structure where members of the Tennessee community and the region at large can apply to be grants readers or grants council members, thereby giving them a say in where the money should go and where it can be best utilized. So we continue to support Nashville and Tennessee and the Southeastern region through our retail grants. We like to be a sounding platform for those groups on our social media and our monthly newsletter, and then even larger if possible. We also support activism through volunteer hours that our staff is allocated every year and are able to actually go out and hands-on help some of those communities and those groups. And we're just delighted to be here in Nashville and to partner with TCV and like-minded groups and making Tennessee even more environmentally friendly and pursuing a better structure for our planet. So thank you very much.
Another award TCV hands out every year is the Service for Legislative Leader. This year, that award is being given to State Senator Brenda Gilmore. She's on the National Caucus of Environmental Legislators and has dedicated herself to highlighting and erasing racism. We see environmental racism in polluted streams, in landfills and factory locations, and in many other ways. Senator Gilmore advocates for democracy and voting for everyone. Here now is State Senator Brenda Gilmore.
Thank you for this opportunity to express my thanks and my gratitude to Mark and to all the members out there who play a part in the TVC. This award and recognition means so much to me. I don't take it lightly that you've selected me as your Legislator of the Year, and it just encourages me and makes me want to redouble my efforts in doing everything that I can to protect this precious earth that we live on. I think when we saw Mr. George Floyd and what happened to him, and not only here in America, but across this world, we saw the life just simply draining out of him. It sent a strong message of how important all lives matter and how important that this earth is. I grew up in a small town, and the environment has always been an interest for me. I also worked at Vanderbilt and worked with those young people at Vanderbilt in setting up their recycler program. And what I noticed about those young people is that when they cared about the environment, that transferred to their care about people. They were just good people. And I felt very good that when they go out in the world, wherever they find themselves, whether it's corporate Americas or whether it's being an entrepreneur, that they were always going to be conscious of how they treat each other and individuals. This is National Caucus of Environmental Legislators, and it's a bipartisan group creating an awareness of how important this earth is and how we've got to protect wildlife, how we've got to protect earth, and how important it is to protecting us and the next generation. Resources are not unlimited, and we've got to be oh so careful to do everything that we can to conserve and protect this earth, this Mother Earth that we live on. It's so important that we reach across the aisle and create coalitions and partnerships, and that we partner with other like organizations who care about the environment and recognize how limited our resources are and how important it is to protect the animals, how important it is to protect the earth, and that we send a loud message that everyone is important, and we cannot stand by idly and let poor people or people of color live in communities where every day they're confronted with landfills and industrial waste and overpopulation of industry. Every life is important, and I always appreciate people who are concerned about this earth and how we do all of our work to protect it, so that our children can have a safe environment to live in, where that they can have opportunities and be educated on how important the earth is and the people who live here. I appreciate so much this honor, and please let me know how I can support you and your mission and the things that you care about.
Thanks, Senator Gilmore. The last award we're giving out tonight is the Service Award for an Individual. Darlene Panivini has served as a board member of TCV as well as our board chair. She's a biology professor at Belmont University, teaching hundreds of students about the importance of nature and in connection with our neighboring countries.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you to TCV for honoring the work that I have been doing. I do this work because Tennessee is such a beautiful state. We have so many natural resources in our state that provide opportunities for a lot of outdoor exploration, hiking, bird watching, and I'm really concerned about the loss of our natural habitat and the polluting of our air and water and land. And while each one of us can do our part to protect resources, the way that we really are going to make change and to ensure protection is to have laws and regulations that do that. So we need to have somebody like TCV to educate our lawmakers and to help shape the decisions that ensure the protection of our natural resources. And I just appreciate and feel like TCV has been a good voice to do that work. You know, I often talk about TCV in the courses that I teach, whether my biology courses or my environmental science courses. And when we get the weekly updates from TCV during the legislative session, I'll bring those in and share them with my students because I really want to encourage my students to be informed and to get involved in environmental advocacy. And most importantly, I want them to know that legislation, you know, isn't just something that's so obscure and kind of out there and distant from them, but I want them to know that legislation impacts the quality of their life. And then, of course, when we were able to have, Nature Votes in person, students loved working at the event and meeting everybody at Nature Votes. So maybe in the future. So I would say the first thing to do is to become aware. And one way to do that is just to look around where you live. Look in your city or your town or your neighborhood and see, do all the people there have good access to parks and safe outdoor recreation? Do they all have trees in their neighborhoods? Are there infrastructures in place that contribute to poor air quality or poor water quality that might be impacting certain groups of people, their quality of life, their health? And then if you see these things, and I expect that you probably will, then to get involved in neighborhood groups or faith-based groups or environmental nonprofits, and of course TCV being one of them, so that you can become more informed and to advocate for environmental equity. Well, I'd say first of all, I'd say there are two things about TCV that I'm really proud of. TCV has had a presence working with legislators and policymakers for many years, and that presence has been consistent, it's been informed, and it's been respectful. And I think that is the way to do good environmental advocacy. And then second, I really appreciate how TCV partners with other like-minded organizations so that they can inform citizens, just, like myself, everyday citizens, about environmental issues and how to advocate for good environmental legislation.
Congratulations to all our award winners this evening, and thank you to past board member Mark Green for helping hand them all out.
Our silent auction is still open and will be until 8 p.m. Central Time. You can also find a link that gives other ways to donate to TCV in the chat.
TCV works tirelessly all year long to advocate for our environment. To keep up with us, make sure you follow us on social media and share our posts to let your friends know what's happening.
Thank you again for joining us on our live stream this evening.
We now send it back to Board President Barbara Footer.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed yourself, and we also hope to be together next year. We miss you. We miss being together. I want you to take another moment to thank all our wonderful sponsors who make Nature Votes and TCV possible. There are several ways you can strengthen our work. Please consider volunteering with us. You can email me at the chat below or on our website. Please also sign up for action alerts about important bills happening at the General Assembly. Please look for more information and share our posts on social media channels. One more thing. Earth Day is coming up. It's April 22nd. Please find a way to celebrate our wonderful planet. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you in person at Nature Votes 2023. Good night.